Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, one man is in a critical condition and another has sustained serious injuries following a two-car collision at Margate. Police spent the afternoon investigating at the scene, trying to piece together the circumstances behind the horror crash.
The ambulance helicopter on standby, waiting at the site of a head-on collision.
About 12:30 today, police and other emergency services were called down to a two-vehicle crash down on the Channel Highway just near the Northwest Bay Golf Club between Huntingfield and Margate.
Emergency services rushing to the scene. 2 cars left smashed as debris littered the highway.
Preliminary investigations would indicate that one of the vehicles has travelled to the incorrect side.
Those investigations are continuing, but police say the 68-year-old driver of the white sedan was taken to hospital in a critical condition. The driver of the silver SUV, an 80-year-old man, sustaining serious injuries. The helicopter on the road as a precaution. Both men eventually taken by ambulance to the Royal Hobart Hospital.
Yeah, at this stage, there's no indication to indicate that excessive speed or any of those other factors were involved.
Once again reminding the public to pay attention behind the wheel.
It is important that motorists do drive to those speeds and aren't distracted by any inattention.
Anyone who witnessed the crash is urged to contact police. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, a crash in Launceston has caused peak hour traffic chaos. A car slammed into a power pole in Kings Meadows, which fell, scattering live power lines onto busy Hobart Road. The Tasmania Fire Service blocked off the area while the danger was brought under control. The elderly driver escaped serious injury but was transported by paramedics to hospital. Tasmania could be walking into an economic nightmare in just a matter of months when welfare protections are scrapped. The warning from business leaders has been backed by Labor and the Greens as new data casts a doubt on a speedy pandemic recovery.
The chorus to keep COVID support grows louder.
We know we're heading towards a wall come March when JobKeeper ends.
Backed by Labor.
March onwards is going to be a very tough time for many Tasmanians and indeed the Tasmanian economy.
And the Greens.
They are making a terrible mistake and we remain deeply concerned.
A Deloitte report has found JobSeeker and Keeper were especially effective in Tasmania compared to other states, meaning scrapping the measures will be especially tough. It's unlikely the economy will return to its pre-pandemic shape, made worse by a shaky job market.
Tasmania's unemployment rate is already the worst in the country. It's close to 8% and youth unemployment is close to 20%.
No such concern from the Premier.
The single biggest complaint that I'm getting from employers is that they can't find enough people to do the work.
Amid restrictions, tourism operators are still struggling through a quieter season, although in some regions, such as Flinders Island, operators are seeing a summer like never before.
I'd say that it's at least on par or if not better than this time last year, and it was huge in Tassie this time last year, right across the state.
And there's also good news on borders. Greater Brisbane is now listed as medium risk, the same as Sydney and Wollongong. The measures allow returning travellers to quarantine at home. Risk levels will be reviewed again on Friday, when another change comes into effect at airports.
If you're going to a terminal, wear a mask. If you're getting on a plane, wear a mask.
I think Tasmanians should start carrying a mask, particularly for travel interstate.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Tourism Tasmania has unleashed its biggest marketing campaign in more than a decade, aimed to entice travel-starved New Zealanders to our state. The industry says it's already reached 1 million people, shrugging off suggestions that it won't work.
How to sell Tasmania in just 15 seconds.
40,000-year-old stories, 360-degree views, and slow-moving, fluffy lawnmowers.
Mariah and Bruny Island, the stars of 2 short ads beamed across the Tasman.
Lunch. Sourced minutes ago.
The first serious tourism campaign in New Zealand for more than a decade, labelled a 36-hour mass media takeover.
Early data suggests we've had over 1 million Kiwis exposed to Tasmania overnight.
Despite the striking similarities between the two regions, the industry is optimistic travellers will make the journey.
They're interested in our wildlife, they're interested in our history and heritage, our food and beverage.
As well as a vibrant art scene, the centrepiece of a front-page wrap in today's New Zealand Herald. It neatly coincides with plans to create the first ever flight path between Hobart and our Tasman neighbours, and even has the backing of Kiwi converts.
It's been a little bit of a well-kept secret, but I think it's a great time now to sort of relaunch that and actually, show people what Tassie's got to offer.
A market all agree is sorely needed to rebuild our battered tourism sector.
And the more people that can come and see and enjoy it, it's great for everybody.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Aged care providers in Tasmania say seniors are suffering, with some waiting more than a year for home support. More than 2,500 Tasmanians are currently on the wait list, but the federal government is adamant it's on track to release 40,000 new packages this financial year.
It's a grim and concerning trend.
We're finding that people are potentially going into residential aged care earlier than they should. And unfortunately, we do know that older people are dying before they actually receive services at all.
Aged care providers say delays for home care packages have been a constant battle.
The waiting list for home care has been quite extensive for quite a long time. Over a year ago, there were 100,000 people still waiting for a home care package across the country.
2,600 older Tasmanians waiting for care that they need now, that they have been approved for, is simply outrageous. The hold-up is that the federal government hasn't done enough work on workforce to make sure that there are enough workers to deliver this, and they haven't funded enough packages.
The federal government says it's working to meet the demand.
We've continued to invest at every opportunity in additional packages. In fact, since the Royal Commission brought down its draft report, we've put an additional 50,000 packages into the sector.
Concerns have also been raised about the number of older Australians on interim packages. Southern Cross Care says the state recently received just over 1,000, but 730 were interim.
Again, it goes back to people being assessed as needing potentially a level 4 and going on to a level 1 and staying on the wait list to access the level of care that they require.
We know that there's more to be done. We know that senior Australians would prefer to age at home, and we're working towards that. But we also need to ensure that we grow the market responsibly. We don't want to create a pink bats type situation where we flood the market and we get dodgy providers come in.
Aged care homes across the state remain on high alert in case of a second outbreak.
We haven't let our guard down. We're still monitoring access to our residential care facilities, monitoring our staff.
For the last 12 months we've been in pandemic planning and preparation. That hasn't changed. We're still ever cautious.
Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
In a boost for Tasmanian fruit pickers, a new program is working to break down one of their biggest barriers, transport to regional farms. The initiative has been welcomed by growers who were left relying on locals to fill roles which were traditionally held by international workers.
Picking the best of the bunch, this group of workers is keeping busy. Thousands of cherries plucked from these trees every day. It's a workforce Tasmania's fruit industry can't live without. But for some, just getting to the farm can be the biggest challenge.
Where farms are placed in the correct places for growing temperate fruit in Tasmania is not always the highest labour area.
Now a $200,000 pilot program is aiming to solve that problem. A new bus service is being trialled, helping up to 250 people a day who are willing to pick, but don't have a mode of transport.
It can make a huge difference. That's the difference, whether we pick a block out over the day and extra 10 rows.
Whether they mean they're too young to hold a licence, whether they have difficulty accessing transport. The main thing is there's a cohort of people out there that we want to give the opportunity to come and pick.
Running 6 days a week, it's hoped the complex 2-year program will expand into the future. And with border closures likely to force backpackers to stay away for another season, growers say they'll be relying on local workers for years to come.
We don't have the backpacker in the state en masse like we normally do. The local community has done a fantastic job. I think, generally speaking, all orchards are just got enough people.
We want Tasmanians in those jobs. That's our top priority. It always has been and it remains so.
Coming at a critical time for a billion-dollar industry bruised by the pandemic. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A development application has been lodged with Council for a 6-storey hotel in Launceston CBD. The 135-room project is proposed for the empty block on Boland Street. It would also feature a restaurant, courtyard, gym and car park. The cost of the development is yet to be revealed. A new headspace satellite service has officially opened in Burnie. The service offers mental health and alcohol and drug support to young people aged 12 to 25. It follows the upgrade of the Headspace Devonport facility into a full centre late last year. A Launceston centre that supports people living with disabilities is moving into the future, purchasing 3 new virtual reality headsets to use in its theatre classes. It will future-proof the actors in the event of a second wave, allowing them to continue rehearsing virtually.
They've been pretty good, and it was my first time using a virtual reality headset.
We've got enough technology just to connect them, no matter where they are in the state, to connect into the same room and rehearse.
Management have ambitious plans to tour a theatre show in Tasmania, Victoria and Scotland over the next 3 years. The Hobart Hurricanes will swap one international recruit for another in tonight's BBL clash against the Perth Scorchers. South African Colin Ingram will head home, while Englishman Will Jacks will come into the squad at the top of the order. The Hurricanes are languishing at the bottom end of the table and need a win to keep its slim finals hopes alive. The best female footballers from across Tasmania have today battled it out in a scratch match in Campbelltown. The players hoping to catch the eye of elite coaches and be selected in the state's under-19 NAB League team, who play its first game in Melbourne on February 6th. The NAB League is a pathway into AFLW and was last year abandoned due to COVID-19.
Good evening. All temperatures below average today. Hobart and Devonport 23, Launceston 24, Burnie recorded 20. Maximum 26 at St Helens. Friendly Beaches 24, Grove 20, Flinders Island and Low Head 19 today. Bushy Park and King Island 18, Lyawini and Strawn coolish on 15. A few showers today over the west as low-level cloud clung to those western areas. We also have a strong low to our south pushing that up over the state. We see that there now, cloud spiralling into that deep low. Cloud sits over the Bight and coastal parts of Victoria and South Australia. More is over central WA, and tropical cyclone Kimmy whips up the cloud over the tropics. Tomorrow, a high approaches Tasmania. Kimmy should cross over the coast of Queensland with the monsoon trough right through there to the Indian Ocean. Winds southwesterly in direction and at 20 to 30 knots, but up to 40 knots over the south and east, easing in the afternoon. 7-metre swells decreasing to 4 to 5 metres in the evening. We have a severe weather warning for damaging winds that's been issued for the Central Plateau, the southeast and the state's northwest. A gale warning from St Helens Point to Low Rocky Point. A strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters along with the Central Plateau lakes. Hobart, a top of 17 and cloudy tomorrow. A shower or two over Adventure Bay, 15 the top and just 12 for Tarraleah. Launceston 21 and partly cloudy, bit of sun over Devonport, 19 the high, 21 for Bridport. Burnie expecting 17 and partly cloudy, a windy day for Strawn, but those winds will ease in the afternoon, 17 the top, 16 for Marrawar, 20 the high for St Helens, Swansea cloudy and 18, 17 the top for Whitemark on Flinders Island. UV extreme tomorrow, pushing up to 11. On Wednesday, a fine day with plenty of sunshine, light winds, which will be welcome. Another fine sunny day on Thursday, St Helens 26, and on Friday, fine and partly cloudy, Hobart 25, Launceston 27. Warm in Perth, 36 there tomorrow. Sunny in Adelaide, partly cloudy and cool for Melbourne. Sunny in Canberra, but showery in Sydney. Brisbane showers as well on 29. And conditions at the moment, all cloudy. Louise.
Thanks for that, Murph. And that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Good night.